one sealed envelope, one private clinic, one answer that could silence years of whispers forever. Yet somehow, the people at the center of this storm keep running from the easiest solution in the world. Why? Because when someone refuses the simplest path to peace, you have to ask what truth they are terrified of meeting face to face. And that is exactly where this royal scandal begins. Picture the monarchy not as a family, but as a fortress. A 1,000-year-old machine built on ceremony, bloodlines, rules, and ruthless continuity. It survived wars, betrayals, divorces, abdications, bombs, and disgrace. Kings fell, queens rose, empires collapsed around it. Yet now, in the middle of the modern age, one of the greatest threats hanging over that institution is not political rebellion, not financial disaster, not foreign enemies. It is a question so personal, so explosive, so uncomfortable that even speaking it aloud makes rooms tense. A question of birth, a question of legitimacy, a question nobody wants to answer directly. For centuries, the royal line followed one brutal principle: certainty. No confusion, no mystery, no shadows. The heirs to the throne had to be unquestionably documented, visibly recognized, legally secure. The state treated royal births like matters of national importance because they were. Every detail mattered, every witness mattered, every signature mattered. That is how dynasties survive, not through emotion, through proof. And now suddenly, in the most media-saturated era in human history, the one story that should have been crystal clear became wrapped in fog. But before the bigger explosion came something quieter, something chilling: silence. When a key anniversary arrived, there were no glowing tributes, no warm palace acknowledgments, no glossy family celebration, no carefully timed public affection. Nothing, not from the palace, not from the couple themselves, not even the usual polished signals sent through friendly media channels. The silence was so complete it felt less like privacy and more like retreat, less like grace and more like evacuation, as if everyone involved knew the ground underneath them was shifting. And while the public stared at that silence trying to decode it, another strange performance emerged: the image of royalty without the power of royalty. Ceremonial appearances, grand staging, carefully photographed symbolism, but not official, not sanctioned, not connected to the machinery of the crown. It looked like a royal tour, but many saw it as something far more desperate: relevance theater. A crown-shaped shadow trying to move like the real thing while the palace quietly pulled the plug behind closed doors. Then came the palace signal that changed everything. When action was taken against another controversial royal figure, the message echoed through every corridor of privilege: no one is untouchable anymore. Titles, status, protections once thought permanent suddenly looked conditional. Traditions that had protected damaged insiders for decades were no longer guaranteed. And if one prince could be publicly cut down, what did that mean for another prince who had left, attacked the institution, monetized secrets, and kept fueling conflict from overseas? The warning was unmistakable. That is when longtime royal watchers began noticing something else. Voices once careful and diplomatic started sharpening. Commentators with establishment credibility stopped whispering and started asking direct questions, not gossip questions, structural questions, questions about timelines, questions about records, questions about contradictory statements, questions about why routine procedures seem strangely absent in matters where routine procedures had existed for generations. When serious people begin asking forbidden questions, panic usually follows shortly after. And the most dangerous detail of all was not what people knew. It was what they could not verify. Missing clarity becomes fuel. Contradictions become clues. Delays become headlines. Confusion becomes suspicion. In any royal story, mystery is poison because monarchy depends on certainty. The moment certainty disappears, every whisper gains power. Every inconsistency grows teeth. Every silence sounds like strategy. Think about the old ritual everyone remembers: hospital steps, smiles through exhaustion, the newborn presented to the cameras, doctors acknowledged, timelines locked in place, the nation reassured. It was never just pageantry. It was constitutional theater designed to eliminate doubt. That theater may have looked old-fashioned, but it served a modern purpose: trust. Remove the ritual and you remove the shield that protects legitimacy. Instead, what the world received this time was haze, conflicting accounts, different narratives, unclear locations, unclear sequences, official statements that seemed to create as many questions as they answered. Supporters called it privacy. Critics called it concealment. But either way, the result was the same. Doubt entered the room and never left. The real question now is not whether rumors exist. Rumors always exist. The real question is why the easiest path to ending them remains untouched, why the door to certainty stays closed, why every move seems designed to delay the moment proof meets daylight. Because when truth is harmless, people rush toward it. When truth is dangerous, they circle it forever. And now we arrive at the part nobody inside the gilded walls of power once spoken aloud. Time is no longer protecting anyone. For years, confusion could be dismissed as internet noise, criticism could be waved away as obsession, and contradictions could be buried beneath louder headlines. But time changes scandals. What begins as rumor can harden into accepted public belief when unanswered long enough. That is the trap now closing around everyone involved. The longer certainty is delayed, the more damaging uncertainty becomes. And that is why this story has moved beyond celebrity drama into something far more dangerous, a crisis of confidence around an institution built entirely on confidence. Inside palace circles, they understand something ordinary people often miss. Monarchies do not run only on law. They run on perception. Crowns survive because enough people agree to believe in them. The jewels matter less than the story attached to them. The palaces matter less than the legitimacy people feel when they look at them. Once doubt begins spreading through that invisible foundation, even the strongest stone walls can feel suddenly fragile. That is why the silence around this matter is so shocking. It is not merely awkward. It is strategically risky. Every unanswered question does not just wound individuals. It nicks the aura of the throne itself. And while constitutional whispers grow louder in one direction, financial pressure appears to be building in another. Glamorous deals once announced with fanfare now look less golden than before. Public enthusiasm has cooled. Media attention that once adored every move now studies every stumble. The problem with building a brand around prestige is simple. Prestige must keep shining. The moment status becomes uncertain, the commercial machine starts coughing. Audiences get bored. Sponsors get cautious. Partners grow distant. What once looked like unstoppable momentum can become a slow-motion retreat disguised as reinvention. That is the hidden cruelty of fame tied to royalty. If you leave the palace but keep selling palace magic, you need the public to keep believing the magic still belongs to you. But if the palace itself grows colder, if invitations vanish, if acknowledgments dry up, if your connection to the institution becomes more historical than current, then the spell weakens. Suddenly, you are not royal future. You are royal aftermath. And aftermath is a much harder product to sell. Meanwhile, another brutal irony hangs over everything. The two children at the center of so much speculation did not choose any of this. They did not choose titles, headlines, family feuds, public narratives, or symbolic importance. Yet they risk becoming the emotional center of a battle they never asked to inherit. If adults wage war through secrecy and pride, children often pay the longest price. Identities shaped by controversy can leave scars deeper than tabloid stories ever reveal. The cameras capture drama. They do not capture what it feels like years later to realize your name was used as a shield in conflicts older than you. And what of the father at the center of it all? Once seen as the carefree rebel prince, the charismatic outsider with charm to spare, the public image now feels radically different. Defensiveness has replaced ease. Anger has replaced playfulness. Litigation has replaced laughter. Whether fair or unfair, many now see a man trapped in permanent combat, fighting newspapers, institutions, critics, family ghosts, and perhaps even consequences of his own decisions. There is something tragic in that transformation. Some wars begin noble and end consuming the person who started them. Then there is the monarch himself, facing perhaps the cruelest arithmetic of duty. A father may wish to protect his son. A king must protect the crown. Those two instincts can coexist for years until one day they collide head-on. And when they collide, history shows blood rarely defeats institution. Thrones have sacrificed brothers, uncles, cousins, lovers, even heirs when survival demanded it. The crown has always been sentimental in ceremony and ruthless in practice. If pressure ever reaches the point of action, emotion may matter far less than people hope. Imagine the nightmare scenario whispered about in elite circles: formal inquiries, legal reviews, document demands, private records dragged into public light, ancient mystique reduced to modern procedure. Nothing terrifies old institutions more than fluorescent truth. Mystery is their perfume. Bureaucracy is their enemy. If such a process ever begins, no glossy interview or polished statement could stop it. Once the machinery of law starts turning, even princes become paperwork. And yet perhaps the most revealing clue is still the simplest one, certainty remains available. If straightforward proof could end years of corrosive speculation, why has that path never been embraced decisively? Why the endless detours? Why the lawsuits, the outrage, the distance, the managed appearances, the selective visibility, the permanent smoke? Human nature notices these things. People may disagree on details, but they instinctively sense when a clean ending is being avoided. The palace, for its part, seems content to let gravity do the work. No need for dramatic executions when time itself can diminish rivals. No need for explosive statements when silence can erase relevance more elegantly. No need to chase those outside the gates when public fascination naturally moves on. It is the oldest aristocratic tactic in existence. Let impatience destroy what attack might accidentally strengthen. But danger still remains, because unresolved scandals do not always fade. Sometimes they mutate. Sometimes they become symbols. This story now symbolizes larger questions people ask about privilege, truth, celebrity, institutions, race, class, media manipulation, and inherited power. That means it carries more emotional electricity than a normal family feud ever could. It has become a mirror people use to reflect their own frustrations, and mirrors are hard to control once the public starts staring into them. So where does this end? Perhaps quietly, with no courtroom, no confession, no dramatic collapse. Perhaps the public simply loses interest and everyone drifts into separate footnotes. But perhaps not. Perhaps one document appears, one insider speaks, one legal challenge opens the wrong drawer, one strategic move misfires, one attempt to suppress a story detonates it instead. History is full of empires weakened not by enemies, but by the one secret they thought could be managed forever. Right now, that is the atmosphere hanging over this saga. A family fractured, a palace calculating, a public suspicious, a brand straining, a monarch aging, a prince fighting shadows, two children caught in symbolism too heavy for childhood shoulders. And above all of it, one unanswered question pacing the halls like a ghost that refuses to leave. Because the truth about power is brutal and simple. It can survive scandal, but it struggles to survive ridicule. It can survive betrayal, but it fears uncertainty. It can survive rebellion, but it hates unanswered questions. If the institution believes those questions now threaten the future more than any family fallout would, then decisions once thought impossible can become suddenly inevitable. And that is why the tension still feels alive tonight. The cameras may move on, headlines may rotate, smiles may be staged, but somewhere behind polished gates and California sunshine alike, people know the same thing. Unresolved truths do not disappear. They wait, patiently, quietly, coldly, and when the moment is right, they step into the room all at once.